Hello and welcome to the fourth of our Q&A sessions in our Ask an Ambassador series. My name's Charlotte and I'll be hosting today's session. Today's session will be focusing on preparing you for your academic studies, including how to manage the transition from school or college to university, managing your workloads and assignments, and what sort of support we offer here at Royal Holloway to help you achieve your potential in your academic studies. So this is your opportunity to ask the questions that really matter to you. So please make sure that you are dropping questions in the chat as we go through. So just to kick off, we're going to introduce our panel.
Hi, my name's Charlie. I'm a fourth and final year law and politics student with a year in industry.
Hi, I'm Ludovica. I'm a second year international business student.
Hi, my name is Catherine. I'm a master's student of Holocaust Studies with the History Department, and I'm an international student from Canada.
Hi, my name is Dr. Vicky Greenaway. I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of English, and I'm the Associate Pro-Vice Chancellor for Inclusive Learning and Teaching.
Excellent, thank you. So thank you to everyone who pre-submitted questions. So I'm going to start with some of those. So just to kick us off, what academic support would you say is available for new students?
If I can start on that one to just talk about the ways in which academic support is embedded in your early weeks of teaching. So in your talk delivery, so in your lessons, in your seminars, in your lectures, in your workshops or labs, your department will have really carefully designed those so that they're setting you up with the skills you need to learn at the new level of undergraduate or postgraduate, whichever level you're coming in. So we don't just teach you new subject content, we also teach you how to do the subject at this level. So you'll find that that's embedded. The first few weeks of content is really about how to and supporting you in those early weeks with those academic skills. But beyond what's delivered in your timetabled content, there are also other ways that we support you. Shall I pass that one on? Yeah, thank you.
So one of my favorite support systems on campus is the library. There are subject librarians for every single subject on campus, and they can help you with so many different things, which is, I think, has been the most helpful for me so far. So they're really great with helping with citations, some of the stuff that can be really picky, but they're also really good for helping with research, or if you write lots of essays, coming up with research questions, things like that, which I really appreciate.
There's also the International Society where they help you with like any visas or just adapting to EGM and London, any financial problems as well.
And just slightly more subject specific, with each module you'll take, you'll have a module convener and a seminar lead, and these will be your kind of go-to people for that topic. They offer office hours or pastoral hours where you can go to them and personally ask for feedback, ask for help, for explanations and things. And then on top of that, you've got your personal tutor who you'll have throughout your academic journey.
Excellent, thank you. So the next question, this could be quite a good one for everyone to take because it varies from department to department. What is the split between lectures, seminars, tutorials, and independent study?
Well, I'll take that one as I've got the mic. For law and for a lot of the social sciences, you have 12 hours a week of academic study itself, but I've always treated my degree like a full-time job. So I've always thought 35 to 40 hours a week with your reading, your lecture notes is probably the best way to structure your studies, but that's just me.
Yeah, I agree. Compared to like school, university is very independent, so you need to like really create a routine and like set goals and try and start assignments as soon as possible. So I always try and fit like in between lectures a study session as well as like anything for my well-being, like going to the gym or any group exercises.
Yeah, university is definitely different from high school or other experiences that you might have had with education so far. So it's a lot more flexible and around what you want to do. So you get to choose kind of what classes that you would be interested in taking, what kind of courses you're interested in. And so that means that you're going to have totally different schedules every single semester. It's definitely going to depend on when the courses are being offered that you're interested in. So the course contact hours definitely depends on the program. For me, I think I had 8 contact hours per semester, which was 2-hour lectures or seminars. And then I had that so that I had basically one class per day and then a day off in the middle of the week. And that just totally depends every single semester. It changes up a lot.
Thank you. Something we see in the classroom, so where you've got that varying amount of contact hours, it does vary around a certain band, but the people who are able to put preparation time into going into those learning sessions, and then if you're able to follow up afterwards with just some time to cement that learning, to write down some questions, go back over your notes, think, oh, that thing really interested me. I'm going to find out something more about that, or I'm going to go and ask my module convener about that in their office hours, or this might be an essay topic for me, so I'm going to read an extra article about that. That's exactly where we want you to sit. It's that balance between the taught provision and the reading lists we give you and all of the resources and the ways that you can approach your study before and after those taught sessions. And we know that people are busy with part-time jobs as well. There is a limit on how much time you can work within a week because you have to do work in relation to your classes too. But it's that independent scaffolded learning, which is a big move, a big part of that transition into undergraduate and postgraduate learning. So getting that routine, that was a great tip. Getting a routine, knowing when it works well for you to follow up on your classes or prep for them, and building that into a personal timetable. So it might not show in your actual timetable, but build that in and you'll thank yourself.
Great, thank you. And to build on that a little bit more, so it really does depend on what department you're in, and you can see that from all of the answers that we've had here. So particularly if you're in a STEM department, so science, technology, engineering, maths, that type of thing, you might have more contact hours than any friends that you may have in humanities and the arts and things like that. So the next question that I've got here, someone's asked, are there any workflow systems that you can recommend that would be effective in a university setting? So what I think that means is, have you got any sort of study skill techniques and that kind of thing? So Catherine, would you maybe like taking this one?
Sure. So there's obviously it's really personal depending on how you learn, how you study, and also what kind of course you're taking. So some courses you might have to memorize a lot of things, whereas for me in humanities, I don't have to memorize things as much, but I do a lot of writing. What I find works really well for me is coming up with really specific goals before I start studying or before I start a session. And kind of coming up with a bit of a list. I like doing little word maps or little, just kind of putting everything that I've thought down. Since I write a lot of essays for my courses, I'll write down any thoughts I've had around it, kind of throw everything out there, and then come up with a really specific goal of what I want to do. And I find that's helpful so that you're not spending hours and hours and hours studying and then feeling like you're not getting anywhere. So one of the things that's different about university, as we've talked about, is that it's so flexible and it's really on your own time, which is fantastic, but it does take a little bit of time to get to know yourself. So sometimes you have to try out a couple different study methods, a couple different things before you find what works for you.
And just to add to that, was great. Do what Catherine says, which is great. But also, some of the ways you say, one of the great ways to punctuate your effort is to think about when your assessments are due in, and you'll work up to those, and you'll make your time really work for you by focusing towards that. But you're here for the joy of learning as well, and some of the big thinking that leads to the best results in assessment is when someone's just gone out there and prospectively started gobbling up information or developing specialties and expertise in a certain area. So remember, you're coming to a community of minds to join in and participate as an intellectual. So come and do the big thinking as well, engage with the big ideas, and then also remember to keep everything in a diary plan and hit your deadlines.
I really think that studying with course mates is really important, because they get to we also get to speak about topics even when we're not studying. So a few questions that we have in mind. Because they could solve questions that I have and I can solve questions that they have. So I just find that key.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a thing that comes to a case of active or passive revision. Passive techniques are those that you're not absorbing information, so really discussing with other people, debating. A lot of, especially the essay subjects, they're asking you to argue, they're asking you to debate. So being able to have that discussion with peers in your group is really helping fuel that and cementing that into place.
Excellent, thank you. And thank you to everyone who started putting questions in the chat. We're going to work our way through those as well. So just for another pre-submitted question, do you have any tips on preparing for an undergraduate course that you've not studied at A-level? For example, if you take psychology, but you've not studied psychology before. And we've actually had a very similar question from that in the chat, which is there any personalised support if someone has that subject that they've not studied before?
Whilst I didn't do psychology, law is very much a similar position where they do offer it as A-level. My tutors in my former place of education said it wasn't going to hamper me, and they were completely correct. We've kind of covered slightly already that your first year of your studies is very much about getting you in a position where you can address what the course is asking of you. A lot of your courses are introductory, and there's a whole support system there to kind of fuel this academic journey, even though it may be early in that process for you.
I agree. I did IB economics and I do a business degree now, so that's completely different. But I know that your first year doesn't count towards your final degree grade. So as said previously, your first year is really to like understand the foundations of business in this case. So don't worry, there's so much support, really, don't get ahead of yourself and everything will go into place.
Your course tutors also will give you recommended reading lists, and there will be lots of different options for you to read through or find YouTube videos or whatever it is that your course tutor has included that is going to really help you get those basics down. So especially when you're first getting started, or even if they haven't included that, you can very quickly contact any tutors and they will have, I guarantee you, so many different resources that they really like giving to students that will help you get kind of some of those basics that maybe other people in your course might have or they might not, if you're just wanting to get a better understanding before you jump right into it.
And agree with everybody. So just come being open to learning. So unless there's a prerequisite for your degree, there won't be any disadvantage in not having studied an A-level in that named area of your degree. And it's exactly that of just, come, let us teach you. Come open with energy, well rested, and you'll do absolutely fine. There is, each department does have on the website an applicant activity hub, and that might be nice as you're thinking about arriving and joining us. Have a look at the department's applicant activity hub because it shows the types of activity, the kind of work that you do with that department, what it's like to be in a lab, show some videos of some of the staff, and you can start getting your head into this next phase that's coming up for you to help you feel prepared, but there's no requirement. Just enjoy coming and learning something new.
Great, thank you. And just to build on that a little bit for psychology in particular, so as our psychology course here is BPS accredited, so that means it's accredited by the British Psychological Society. Essentially the things that it will teach you in first year is quite similar to some of the content at A-level, so there will be some repetition for students who have studied it at A-level, and as was mentioned, you don't need to have studied psychology to be able to go on to that course. All of the advice said before, you'll be absolutely fine. Next question that leads on quite nicely, so we've touched a little bit upon the applicant hub, but what can students do over the summer to help them get ready for university? And the same question in the chat, what would you recommend that students can do before they arrive?
So I'll kick that one off. I was one of those students who fretted about not having done law and then proceeded to buy 20 or so books off the reading list, which I wouldn't advise doing, especially for law. I think making yourself, do what you need to do to feel comfortable going into your degree. Whether that's reading 20 books, whether that's completely blowing off everything over the summer and just chilling, because a lot of degrees can be quite intense experiences and you're here for a very condensed, finite amount of time, so you want to be able to draw as much out of that as you can. But each experience will be completely different, so it's finding a way, as unhelpful as that sounds, is finding something that's comfortable for you and works for you as an individual.
One thing I'd also recommend is if you're a little bit nervous or you're not quite sure what you're getting into, the fact that you're here is a great option in the first place. So coming to these kind of events is a really good way to kind of get an understanding of what you're going to be looking forward to. and also contacting lecturers in the program, or maybe if you can find other students. So we have Unibuddy, and there are lots of different student ambassadors who work there who can answer questions, and you can actually check through and find somebody who's maybe in your area of interest or who's taking the degree that you're planning on doing. And talking to students who are living that life currently is really helpful, and I found that really great when I started.
Great, thank you. So the next question that we have here is, what is CDAS and how can it help students at Royal Holloway?
Shall I take that one? Thank you. So CDAS is it's when you have acronyms, and say them as if they're a real word. Well, and then you think, oh, no, people don't actually understand this. So CDAS is our Centre for Development of Academic Skills. So they're colleagues who are experts in assisting students to achieve their best of whatever level. So they're here for students of all disciplines, and they're here to support students from foundation year to PhD level. So outside of taught modules and your work with your lecturers in your departments, you can get one-to-one appointments with a colleague from CDAS to work on an area of your practice. Or you can join some of their general workshops that are you get together as a group with other students to work on a particular area. So an example of how some of my tutees and students have found it really useful, if they've got like maybe 3 or 4 assessments back, and each of the feedback on that assessment has pointed them towards one area of their practice they need to work on. It might be analysing sources, it might be structure or presentation of work. Then they can take that work to our colleagues at CDAS, who will read their work and then have a one-on-one, 1-hour consultation, and then that can carry on. You can book further ones. That's always been really useful. And also, benefit of working with our CDAS colleagues is they can look at work in draft, and your academic staff can't, in your departments, can't look at draft work before you submit it, unless there's a particular assignment that allows you to do that. So you can take something to them that's in progress, and they'll give you feedback, and you can work on it before you submit it. Has anybody used CDAS? Would you like to talk about that?
So I completely kind of echo what you said. But what I would say is that some of the skills you gain through CDAS are stuff you can use in other dimensions of life. So I had a very similar situation where I had a lot of feedback for a run of essays, luckily formative, so they didn't count towards final grade, all indicating that there was something wrong with the length of my work, in that it wasn't representing the amount of marks it should do because there was additional words and all sorts of that. But learning how to condense information is a skill that is valuable in any kind of modality, either pre or post-uni. So that's something that I really gained through using the CDAS expertise.
Excellent, thank you. Next question I have here, and please do keep putting any questions in the chat if you've got any. Are there any opportunities to study abroad or volunteer while studying for my undergraduate degree? So Charlie, I know you did a year in industry. Would you mind talking about that a little bit?
Yes, so my industry year was incredible, really. So I used, firstly, I'd applied to my degree knowing that I intended on doing a year in industry, which is an option for all of you, but you can also sign on to that latterly as the opportunity comes up in your second year. And I kind of kicked the ball rolling through going to the careers service, which is another academic service we have on campus, and said, this is what I want to go into, where do I begin? And they very much directed me to where I should be applying. They helped me build a curriculum vitae CVs, a bit like a personal statement, which many of you will be doing now, and kind of covering letters, and really very much get that framework in place, so then I can take the initiative and apply to where I need to apply to, kind of go for what I can. And they can develop whatever skills you need in that sense. So if you struggle with interviewing skills, then they can help you build those up. And then once I'd applied, I managed to secure a placement, and that was really like adulthood had come, in a way, because you're working, you're earning, you're practicing what you've learned so far in your degree, but you're also developing skills that will be valuable afterwards. One of the primary questions you get at interview after uni is, what experience do you have? And that really very much ticks that box. It also helps you develop very much as a person, and I think that's something that would be mirrored with a year abroad, or any other volunteering experiences that you get.
I'd like to add that as Royal Holloway is part of the University of London, our career service is one of the biggest in Europe. And they do like CV consultations, as you said, interview help, one-to-one like help with like the industry or whatever. They help you understand also psychometric tests, and there are a few like practice mocks of that. Yeah, so there's so much help.
Thank you. So just carrying on, it's really inspirational to hear everybody's experiences and how you've been able to draw on that. You know, I've had tutees who've gone away on a year abroad, and they've come back transformed. And they've come back because you go after your second year, and then when you return, you've got one more year left of study. They come back with just a clearer vision of why they're taking the degree, because they're clearer about who they are in the world and what they want from their degree to get them to the next thing, right? It's not a passive thing, oh, I'm doing a degree, I don't know what it's for. They know where they want to get to. And there's really something valuable about that experience if you want it, to go out and see yourself globally, and it just really it's really galvanizing. Technically, anybody who comes to Royal Holloway can do a placement year, between their second and third year of study. That can include a year in industry, a year studying abroad, or a year volunteering, and that can be volunteering in the UK or abroad. That's something that starts to get publicised in your second year, and if that's something you're interested in and you haven't signed up to a degree with that in its title, then you can add that. You can elect to take that year. And there's also the scheme called the Turing scheme that we run, which allows people to go abroad for shorter terms, so 3 to 6 months. So if you're not able to take a whole year away, then it allows you to get that internationalising experience for a shorter time period.
Thank you. I should also say that I'm a staff member at the university now, but I also studied a history degree here, and I did a year abroad in Boston as part of my degree. So we have over 80 partner institutions over the globe, including places across Europe, America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Mexico, Hong Kong, Japan. I've definitely missed some countries in there, but that just gives you an idea of the breadth of places you can go. And absolutely, I didn't actually know it was an option until I was in my second year. So you don't need to know if that's something that you want to do now. That is something that you can look at later on. So just to let you know, we have 10 minutes left. So if anybody has got any questions, please make sure you're putting them on the chat. So just the next question, we've had one on the chat here. What are some good study tips or habits that I can pick up when I become a student?
Can I say one, and then I'll pass it on, because these are the experts. They've been doing it. I just tell people what to do. So one of the things I would say is what is quality study time? So don't sit at a desk for 8 hours chaining yourself to that desk if it's not productive time. It's much better to work in bursts and then go and do the other balancing things. I mean, Ludovic, you had some really good steers around a healthy balance and doing the things that make you you and keep you energized and thinking really well. So can I pass on to you? 'Cause
yeah, I can confirm that doing like exercise really helps also like process what you're learning. Yeah, so definitely try to take a break, go for a walk, go and do, the university has so many Pilates, HIIT workouts, group exercises that also help to like see friends and everything. So I just think that doing like a few hours of intense study and then taking a break and then going back again is the best for me.
I'd also say find the time that works best for you. Some people work really well in the mornings. If that's you, get up a little bit earlier, kind of get it out of the way, and then choose when you're going to be finishing and take your break after that. I'm an evening person, so I usually do it around dinner time. I study for a few hours, but before that, I take an actual break where I am not thinking about my studies. I think your studying doesn't work unless you've really given yourself a break. Like even just going grocery shopping can really help. So kind of making a timetable that works really well for you, put in your calendar, put your studying as an actual calendar event. That is something that you can shift, but it makes it cemented into your schedule. I found that really helped as well.
So a couple of things. I'd always say study with friends. You don't necessarily need to be on the same course, but even just going to the library together I find quite motivation, especially if you've booked a library room. I'd also say do it in moderation and in priority order. So as certain exams are coming up, a certain bit of coursework are coming up, you know where you need to focus. And that will then vary based on what your strengths and weaknesses are and what the exam looks like. So I have always struggled with in-person exams, and they've been reintroduced since COVID again. And so that was where I focused my exam practice and did a lot of exam practice questions. I had these marked because you're allowed to do that. Past papers, there's a big bank of an archive of past papers which you can refer back to. They can supplement your learning throughout the year. Same as kind of looking at your seminar questions, there's a bit of overlap there. It's all designed to help prepare you for these exams.
A quick last comment would be make sure that you're not doing all of your studying right before something is due. I know that's something that everybody wants to do, or it happens without you even thinking about it because time moves really, really quickly in university. But setting ahead your schedule well in advance so that you're doing short bursts for weeks or months at a time, depending on how big the assignment is, rather than doing 30 hours over just a few days, really helps you learn and enjoy it and not be so stressed.
Thank you. Next question here. So we've already touched upon this a little bit at the start, but what are the big differences between studying at school and studying at university? So I know we've already discussed sort of the number of contact hours and independent learning, so maybe there's a couple of other examples we could talk about.
Yeah, so university compared to school or college is completely different. You have to go to school from a set time and you come back, and then, but at university you don't really have a set time. You have a few days off during the week, and I just think that you're the person that's supposed to make your own schedule. So find your own routine, find your own way of studying, find your own balance, especially because you might be living by yourself for the first time, so really understand how to manage yourself. That's key.
I'd say everything's a lesson, really. Some of you will be in a position where you've never had to cook for yourselves before, you've never had to do your own washing. The independence for some of you will come as quite a big culture change. Embrace it and enjoy it because it feels very liberating. But see the fun in that. See the fun in the mistakes that you'll make because everybody makes them. You will have to ring your parents and say, "Oh, I've made this pasta sauce and it's turned into soup. How do I thicken it?" It's a very generic kind of thing, but it really much is a life lesson, and it's enjoyable. So kind of throw yourself at it rather than see it as something to be feared.
Another big difference is that you won't know most of the people, or sometimes all of the people that you're taking classes with and that you're meeting, and that can be really intimidating. It can be a little bit scary coming in, but every single person in their first year is on the same page and they're all dealing with the same things. So definitely going in and being excited to meet new people, because you're going to be meeting a bunch of people who have similar interests to you, who might be in the same course as you, and that's a really exciting thing that you don't get in many other places.
I'm going to follow up on that one because one key change is, we have many students who begin, who are mature students, but a lot of our students are 18 as you enter undergraduate, and it's the first time you're legally considered an adult within an educational structure, right? So, for example, you need to tell us if you have a registered disability for which you need support. So there are certain things about, we open spaces here, but you need to walk into them. So increasingly, you need to know that you need to find your voice. And if you find you don't seem to know something you think you should, or you're not receiving it, then speak up. Speak for yourself, claim, what's yours. And We open up spaces, as Catherine was saying, for interaction. So the first week will be welcome week. So it's a week of situating activities where we're really all about settling you in and allowing you to make some connections with other students and with the people who are going to be teaching you. And we open up lots of opportunities. We don't at all expect you to go to every one of those. In welcome week, you would be wrecked by the next week if you did in many ways. But, look at some opportunities to go and meet people who share similar interests. Be open to trying new things and meeting new people. Be very careful with your energy. You don't want to exhaust yourself, but step into those spaces and opportunities where we're opening up for you, because the students who are leaving tell us often, I wish I'd done more of the things that were on offer. I wish I'd taken that up. And those who do get so much out of it. We've just had our volunteering awards and our society awards, and people are achieving so much and making lifelong friendships through it. So take up the opportunities that are on offer.
Thank you. So we've got a couple of minutes left, so I'm just going to ask one more question. This is one that was submitted in advance, and it's quite a nice one to end on. What advice do you have for new students who are coming to university and helping with that transition into a higher education environment? Just any top tips?
I would say my top tip would just be kind of what we've been talking about, of being open and being open to learning. This is one of those times where you get to spend pretty much 100% of your time, unless you're doing a part-time job, but you get to spend a lot of your time just looking for what interests you. And that's such a unique experience, and you're doing this with a bunch of other people who are doing the exact same thing. So taking those classes that maybe seem a little out there but might be interesting, going to clubs and society events, talking to your professors. Don't be intimidated by anybody around you. Just really take advantage of the things that you've got on offer here.
I agree. I think putting yourself out there and trying out new things is the best type of tip that I could give you, but also finding a balance. University is a new chapter in your life. You're just continuing your you're continuing your progress. So find yourself as a person and continue improving and being the best version of yourself.
I'd kind of have 2 points. Kind of throw yourself at every opportunity. Some of it will stick, some of it will fall, but you don't know which one of those are going to be the next big thing in your life. And I'd also say don't benchmark yourself against other people. You spend a lot of time making comparisons with other students, or so-and-so got a better grade, or how are they doing all of this with their time? I'm really struggling to... everybody's journey and experience of university and life in general is going to be very, very different to each other's. So I think recognising that early on and kind of saying, this is great for where I am, this is what I can achieve, this is what I want to be doing, how I want to spend my time, is kind of a very big takeaway.
I can't really better that. That was amazing. Thank you, all of you. That's really brilliant advice. And keeping your own sense of your goals and your commitments and your values amongst all sort of a dizzying set of new experiences and new opportunities, and it's all wonderful. Remember what you want from this in the same ways that Charlie said. This is about you. This isn't about anyone else. That was a really good point. And this is only, as Ludovica was saying, a step in your journey. You've been somewhere. You've brought really great characteristics and talents to this. You're not starting from scratch. You're here for a reason. And you're going to go on to some really interesting things. And we're here to help you get there. Okay, so keep this as your degree experience and centre you and what you need from this all the way through.
Amazing. Thank you so much to our panel for all of the excellent answers today, and thank you to all of you for watching at home. Thank you for joining, and we hope you found the Q&A helpful. If we were unable to get to your question today, or if you have any further questions about preparing for academic studies, then please take a look on the department pages on the website, where you can contact staff from your department and also talk to our current students. We'll put the links to both of those in the chat. Thank you for joining us again. Join us for the last of our live sessions on Thursday, the 18th of July at 3:30, which will be focused on careers and part-time jobs.